Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX. I'm Megha Sharma and this is a fresh new episode of VaKu, 75 years of India and the world and how the relationship bilaterally has particularly grown for India and Germany. With me on the broadcast is His Excellency Philipp Ackermann. He is the German ambassador to India. It's great to have you, Philipp, on the telecast with us.
Thank you, Megha. It's great to be with you.
First of all, congratulations. You have just celebrated the Unity Day for Germany, and it was quite the show at the embassy. How has all these decades since 1999-91 brought about an encapsulated view for Germany and the rest of the world?
Yeah, I think for us, Unity Day is a great, great day. Still, I remember I was a student when it happened in '89, when the wall fell, when the two Germanys came together and united, and it became united. And I have to say, German unity is still a present that we cherish every day. It's a fantastic moment, and I'm very glad that I could live it. It's a moment that sparkled all over the world. You not forget that every other country in the region also, transformed from a Soviet-style dictatorship to a democracy, vibrant democracies, lively democracies. So now we are all united in the European Union, which dims all the tensions that might have been, that might be still there. It's a very, very good framework and the context, and I think we have all reasons to be grateful to our neighbors, to Europe, to the world for making that possible.
Germany and India are also celebrating 71 years of diplomatic ties, but reminiscing from the World War I days and the World War II, where was Subhash Chandra Bose seeking the support of the then Nazi government for the liberation of our country from the British colony, to the 71 years that we have been able to establish these strong strategic trade ties, diplomatic ties. How do you look back and see at the developments that have happened, keeping in mind that 2001 was a strategic year for both India and Germany in bringing closer trade cooperation?
So I think what one can say is that a German interest for India is century old. German researchers were linguists, were language experts. Max Müller is the most common name. So there is an old love for India in Germany. And when you see what happened over the last 10 decades or so, you will see that there is a growing understanding of what India is as a civilization, as what it is as a religion, what it is as a country that unites so many diverse people, languages, beliefs, and everything. Now, the modern relations, I would say, started right after independence. And let me tell you that the German embassy in Chanakya is the first building, as an embassy building, the German government after the war erected. So that shows that from the very start, we had a very, very big interest in India. Over the last 7 decades, and you are rightly referring to the 71 years of diplomatic relations, I would say that Germany has developed more and more interest, more and more understanding for India. And now, and this pleases me enormously, I come at a time to India where these bilateral relations are at an all-time high, I would say. And what we see is they are strategic by nature, they are covering all strata of society, and I can tell you there is not one single segment of social life, society life, where India and Germany don't work together, and it is a fantastic partnership.
Since you're talking about working in all stratas and sectors, which are the more emphasized ones that both the nations at this point in time are looking?
It's difficult to say, but I will start and make a try at least. So I think what is on our priority list very high is this common fight against climate change. We have, during the government consultations in May this year, we have concluded this German-Indian or Indo-German partnership for green and sustainable development. It's a partnership that covers basically all sorts of projects that come under how do we assist India and how do we manage to transition to renewable to sustainable energy. How do we get energy to Indians across the country that is sustainable, that comes from renewables. That's, I think, very high on our agenda. Second point, I would say, is business. We are trying to get more German business to India, and we are trying to get more Indian business to Germany. And I can tell you it's quite a success story. We have so far all big car manufacturers are in India. We have these so-called hidden champions, the medium-sized enterprises doing great business in India. And we have also growing Indian investment in Germany. And that reflects in very many ways also aspects like universities, academic cooperation on technology development. We have the Indo-German Center of Science and Technology here in Delhi and in Germany. And we have, and I'm very proud to say that, a growing number of Indian students in Germany. When I left in 2010, in my previous posting, or after my previous posting, we had about 5,000 Indian students in Germany. Now it's almost 35,000 students, and it will be growing, and we are very happy about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there were these issues that had come about, the visa backlogs, and the embassy has been working overtime to allow for these creases to then settle down.
Megha, let me tell you in all honesty, we are not happy with the current situation. We are working day and night to improve it, and we will get there at some point. I know that people are still frustrated, and we acknowledge that it's a big backlog, but we will cope with it, and I'll hope that by the end of this year we are back on track. So please, dear Indian fellows, friends, students, bear with us. We are working hard. Okay.
Your Excellency, your personal interest when it comes to climate change and bringing about pollution control and going about having those towers set up at Sundar Nursery and those photo ops and allowing for meetings with the Lieutenant Governor, Dr. Saxena, and talking about how pollution and quality of air can be improved in Delhi has been a personal pet project. Tell me more about the associations and collaborations that German companies have had in India in allowing for this broad-based pollution control exercise to be then executed.
So it is interesting that you're referring to this tower in Sundar Nursery, which I inaugurated. Basically, that's an interesting project because the government had no hand in it. It is a project that was a joint project of a very big German filter company and an architectural company. And they both got together and tried to figure out what to do in order to improve the air in Delhi. And I think that's a wonderful example of Indian-German cooperation. And therefore, I was very happy to inaugurate it. At the end of the day, if strategic relations really work, it's not only about government, it's also about the private sector. Now, let me tell you, Megha, our very manifold portfolio of German projects in India has one component that is very important for Delhi as a city, because you are referring to the air. This is the smart city component. So we are trying to get programs up in cities that somehow make life for citizens in big cities easier by getting them to renewables. And I'll give you my favorite example is the water taxi in Cochin. We have, together with the government and together with the city of Cochin, we have developed a system of water taxis, like public transport, that are driven by solar energy. So this is a fantastic plan, which it's a good example where we try to develop things in cities. We have also, tried to get solar energy for Delhi Metro. I think Delhi Metro is state of the art. It's a fantastic metro, and we are very happy to deliver or to build up, together with the metro administration, a system that feeds solar energy into the metro run. And this is kind of where we think, and how we think and how we work with Indian together.
Since you talk about sustainability and green energy, there's another important aspect that has been touted as the next big thing when it comes to green energy is the green hydrogen mission project that Prime Minister himself has launched in 2021. There are a lot of European nations, including Norway and Denmark, and European Union also coming about in building collaborations. There are conglomerates like Adani and Ambani who've put in multi-billion dollars into these projects. And incidentally, in the 2022 government consultation that happened between India and Germany, there have been these agreements signed to set up these task forces and to set up these green hydrogen centers in India. How's the roadmap being charted out?
So I think what we have started now is a dialogue, a high-ranking dialogue between India and Germany on hydrogen. And I think the first forum has met, and they have developed a roadmap. I think in the months to come, we will see more activity on this field. Green hydrogen is extremely important, and it will be one of the big carriers of energy in the future. I think this will not happen overnight, but it's very, very important to sit down now and try to develop cooperation on this matter. And you rightly mentioned that other countries also have this hydrogen partnership. We have to watch out a bit that we are not drowned in partnerships somehow. But it shows at the same time how important India as a partner is taken in this endeavor, because I think India, with its sheer size of surface and population, is an indispensable partner in this fight of how to transition from fossil energy to renewable energy. And therefore everybody stands in a queue in order to get Indian government on its side. We're very happy that we are in this queue also. And we are very much
at the forefront,
advanced at the forefront.
In Europe, Germany being the leading trade partner for India. So does that give you that much needed impetus as compared to the other European nations?
Yes, and I agree with you. And we are, this is not only business to business. It's again not only government to government. It's again business to business also. So we have these renewable companies who come here, who see ample opportunity to develop a relationship with their counterparts in India. So you should not forget, one good thing about India is a lot is happening outside the government also, and that's something we understand because it's very similar in China.
Okay, I'm going to shift my focus to what the world's focus is right now, which is the Russia-Ukraine war. And what has been spoken a lot about is the proposed G7 price cut, which Russia has vehemently opposed. In wake of all these strategic changes geopolitically as well that are taking place in East Europe and that are impacting the rest of the world, India has continued to have its trade ties, particularly when it comes to oil with Russia. In fact, they have multiplied as the months have passed by. There is also a proposal for European Union coming about with a proposed price cap in the similar vein as the G7 has gone about speaking in the last few weeks. How has Germany's stance been, keeping in mind that Europe and particularly Germany have been massively dependent on gas and oil from Russia?
It's a very interesting question. And let me start by saying that our dependency on Russian gas, mostly, oil less, but gas mostly, in hindsight was a big mistake. We should have known at some stage that our presumption that this would go on forever, whatever the political situation was wrong. And therefore, I think I'm proud to say that the German system and the German government has really succeeded in rearranging its energy mix as such that the 45% gas we got from the Russians now is reduced to 3 to 4% or something. So very, very little percentage of gas comes from Russia, basically also because the Russian cut all provision with gas deliberately. So we have to readjust this energy mix. But, and this comes back to the first part of your question, we in the G7, but also in the European Union, we have to sit together and try to figure out how to fight, and I say that with a certain emphasis, the blatant violation of international law we are facing in front of our door. And so far we have thought of as you know, many variants, and mostly they are sanctions related, and therefore the discussion on this oil price cap is underway. I think it's not concluded yet. We are still in the process of deliberating, reflecting how that can happen, but it is a clear reaction to what we don't want to see, namely that a strong country invades a smaller country, a weaker country, and tries to grab its land. And that's basically what it is. Yeah. Russia, a very big country, it's the biggest country in the world, wants to enlarge its surface by annexing 20% of another country's territory. And that's unacceptable. And we have to fight that. And therefore, this discussion on the oil price cap comes.
Okay. What should be the solution that Germany, Europe, and the rest of the world envisages in bringing an end to this war? It has to be reflected upon what happened in 1991, the Russian disintegration, the unification of Germany, Mikhail Gorbachev, who played this massive role. And is it some sort of a role reversal in terms of Russia having a standoff with Ukraine?
I'm very glad, Megha, that you mentioned Mikhail Gorbachev, who passed away a couple of weeks ago. And I must say that if it weren't about him, I think unification would not have happened the way it happened. So we are grateful to the role Russia played by then. We are very happy that the Russians understood that the unification was of urgency and was very, very, very important. Now, unfortunately, we see a hostile Russian government. And frankly, we don't believe in a military solution, of course, but we have to say that negotiations that are basically negotiations that are on the table all the time, they cannot be dictated by one party. So in this case, I think if we go back to a table and negotiate, it must be to the conditions of the Ukrainians who have been attacked. And therefore, I think, if the Ukrainian government sees the need for negotiations, we will certainly support them. But it's a very difficult process, because what you see is growing occupation, you see war crimes, you see no flexibility whatsoever. We listened to the Russian speech, the President Putin's speech last Friday, where he says, we are ready to negotiate, but we don't want to talk about the annexed territories now. This is not a basis for negotiation. So I think it will be difficult. Of course, diplomats will never will give up hopes for negotiation and negotiated solutions, but it is getting more difficult by the day, I'm afraid to say.
Okay. There's another subject that's attached to India and Germany, the G4 countries, and their renewed push for a reformed UNSC and allowing for them to be permanent members as well. Now, amidst the neutral stance that has been taken repeatedly by India by not participating in the resolutions condemning Russia on several occasions, the recent one that just happened over the annexation of the 4 territories of Ukraine. How does Germany view this? And would this be of any impact to any sort of future negotiations that could hamper or be on the side of India in allowing it to be a permanent member, alongside with Germany and the other 2 nations that are also wanting to be part of it?
So, Megha, let me be very clear on that. We think and we are convinced and we believe that India must have a permanent seat in the Security Council. This is very soon the most populous nation on earth. It is a factor that is has so much weight in international relations, and it is ridiculous, frankly, that it has this seat so far. So Germany will always be on India's side when it comes to the reform of the Security Council, because it is overly obvious that India belongs to the Security Council as a permanent member, no matter what some voting behavior might produce. So we feel that India, but also Brazil and Japan, belong as permanent members in the Security Council. We feel that we, seeing our huge engagement for the UN, our enormous prestation financially, but also our support with all sorts of soldiers and others, we also see ourselves as a permanent member at the table of the Security Council. But it is crystal clear that it can't be more obvious to tell people that the Security Council is not fairly balanced once you see India outside. It's obvious. Okay.
There has also been a grouse saying that Germany has been a trade partner for India for the longest time. But when it comes to the strategic issues and geopolitical matters in the Indo-Pacific, its role has been limited. Is there more that needs to be done in that particular aspect?
Very good point, Megha, because you are right when you say Indo-Pacific was in the past, I don't want to say neglected, that would be exaggerated, but was not as high on the agenda as it should have been. And what we see is with the German guidelines on the Indo-Pacific, which were, I think, agreed upon by the government a year and a half ago, you see a renewed interest by Germany for the Indo-Pacific. We had a big warship, a frigate, coming to India, amongst other countries. Last year, we had now a very, very big group of planes going through Singapore to Australia to join a maneuver in the region. So you'll see more of Germany in the Indo-Pacific, because we feel this is such a strategic neighborhood. We must be there.
Okay. And finally, before I let you go, Your Excellency, 71 years have passed between India and Germany, bringing about this diplomacy and strategic ties to the position that we are at. There have been governmental consultations, strategic partnerships that have been drawn. What's the roadmap being charted out for the next 71 years?
I think, frankly, and this is my personal conviction, the sky is the limit, Megha. I think we will see much more of Germany in India. We will see much more of India in Germany on very, very many levels. Because when I handed over my credentials to President Murmu, she said in a very nice way, she said, Germany and India share the same democratic values. And that's a fabulous basis for this cooperation that covers so many segments of society. And I think we will see so much more cooperation because it's so useful for both sides that I'm very happy to be back in India and promoting this relationship. And let me tell you, and I'm not going to brag, but I'll have success in some way.
Absolutely. And here's hoping to that. More successes our way. And thank you so much for joining me on NewsX. Here's hoping that you keep coming to our studios more often.
With pleasure.
We are able to host you and build about a better ecosystem when it comes to sustainability, when it comes to fighting climate change, and several of these science and technological advances that Germany and India then would share in coming up with joint ventures in the future as well. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Okay.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.